Imagine you've just landed $100,000. Maybe it's an inheritance, a bonus, the sale of an old property, or years of disciplined saving finally paying off. You're sitting at the kitchen table, coffee in hand, staring at that number on your bank app, and one question keeps spinning in your head. Do I throw it into the share market and watch it grow on my own terms? Or do I push it into super and let the system do the heavy lifting? Because here's the thing, most Australians never realise. The choice you make today could be the difference between retiring with $600,000 or retiring with over 1.2 million. So today we're going to settle this debate once and for all. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which option fits your stage of life, your tax situation, and your goals. Let's start with the cold, hard numbers, because emotion has no place in a decision this big. The Australian share market, measured by the ASX 200, has delivered an average annual return of around 9 to 10% over the long term, including dividends. That includes the dot-com crash, the global financial crisis, the COVID collapse, and every panic in between. Meanwhile, the average balanced super fund has returned roughly 7 to 8% per year over the last 3 decades. So at first glance, stocks look like the obvious winner. More risk, more reward. End of story, right? Not even close. Because raw returns are only half the equation. The other half, the half that actually decides who wins, is tax. And tax in Australia is brutal once you understand how it really works. Here's what nobody explains properly. When you invest $100,000 outside of super, every dollar of dividend income gets added to your taxable income. If you're earning $90,000 a year from your job, that means your investment returns are taxed at your marginal rate. For most working Australians, that's 32.5% or 37% once the Medicare levy is included. So a 10% return suddenly becomes a 6 to 7% return after the tax office takes its cut. Franking credits soften the blow on Australian shares paying fully franked dividends, but they don't eliminate the gap. Foreign shares, ETFs holding international assets, and any unfranked income get hit at your full marginal rate with no offset at all. Inside super, it's a completely different game. Earnings are taxed at just 15%. Capital gains held for more than 12 months are taxed at an effective rate of just 10%, thanks to the 1/3 discount. And here's the kicker most investors completely overlook. Once you transition your super into pension phase after age 60, the tax on earnings drops to zero. You become legally invisible to the tax office on those investment returns. There is no other structure in Australia that offers this. Not trusts, not companies, not investment bonds. Nothing comes close. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Take a 35-year-old earning $95,000 a year. They've got $100,000 to invest. Option 1. They put it into a low-cost ASX 200 index fund and let it ride for 25 years. Assuming a 9% return and tax leakage of around 2% per year on dividends and rebalancing, they'd end up with roughly $530,000 at age 60. Now option 2, they use the bring forward rule and contribute that $100,000 as a non-concessional contribution into super. The non-concessional cap is rising to $130,000 from 1st July 2026, so this fits comfortably under the limit. Inside super, that money grows at a similar 9% return, but with tax of only 10 to 15% on earnings. After 25 years, they'd have closer to $760,000 sitting in their super account. That's an extra $230,000. Same starting capital, same time horizon. The only difference is the tax wrapper. But before you race off to dump your savings into super, we need to talk about the catch, because there's always a catch. Money inside super is locked away until you hit your preservation age, which for everyone watching this is now 60. That's not a flaw in the system. That's the deal you make in exchange for the tax break. The government essentially says, we'll let you pay 15% instead of 37%, but you can't touch this money until you're old enough to retire. For someone in their 50s, that's a fair trade. For someone in their 30s with a mortgage, kids, a small business, or dreams of buying an investment property, locking $100,000 away for 25 to 30 years could be financially crippling. Legislation can also shift over time. Contribution caps, tax rates, preservation rules, and balance thresholds have all been adjusted multiple times over the past 2 decades, and any money inside super sits inside whatever future rules the government decides to write. If you're under 40, your financial life is still unpredictable. Career changes, property moves, family costs, and business opportunities can appear without warning, and liquid capital is what allows you to act on them. Investing your $100,000 into a diversified portfolio of ETFs across Australian and international markets gives you full control, immediate access, and the ability to redeploy that money whenever a better opportunity appears. Now, if you're between 40 and 50, this is the sweet spot for splitting the difference. Half into stocks for accessibility, half into super through salary sacrifice or after tax contributions to capture the tax advantage. If you're 50 or older and earning a strong income, super becomes almost unbeatable. You're close enough to preservation age that lockup isn't really lockup anymore. Every dollar you push in saves you tax now and grows in a low tax environment until you start drawing it down, often completely tax-free after age 60. There's another layer most people miss. Concessional contributions, the ones made before tax through salary sacrifice, are capped at $30,000 this financial year and rising to $32,500 from July 2026. If you earn $120,000 a year and salary sacrifice $15,000 of it, you save roughly $4,800 in tax instantly. The tax system rewards people who plan. It punishes people who don't. There's also the carry forward rule, which lets you use unused concessional caps from the previous 5 years if your super balance is under $500,000. That means a tradie, a teacher, or a small business owner who finally has a strong income year can legally dump $100,000 or more into super in a single year and slash their tax bill dramatically. So which one actually wins? If we're talking pure mathematical wealth at age 65, super wins almost every time for the average Australian earner. The tax advantage is too powerful to ignore. But if we're talking about real life, the kind that includes job changes, divorces, business opportunities, health issues, and the emotional need to feel in control of your money, then stocks held outside super win on flexibility every single time. The wealthiest Australians rarely pick one option. They build both. Super becomes the long-term tax shelter, while a parallel portfolio of ETFs and direct shares funds the years before 60. By the time retirement arrives, 2 streams of wealth are working in tandem, one available today, one waiting for tomorrow. The action step is simple. Open your super statement this week and check which investment option your balance is sitting in. Because the average default fund underperforms a high growth option by around 1.5% a year, and over 25 years that gap alone is worth more than $200,000 on a $100,000 starting balance. Then run the numbers on your marginal tax rate and answer one honest question. Is trading liquidity today for compound growth tomorrow the right move for your situation? There is no wrong answer, but there is a wrong reaction, and that's doing nothing. The Australians who retire wealthy aren't the ones who earn the most. They're the ones who understood the rules and used them on purpose, year after year, decade after decade. If this video helped you see your money in a new light, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.